And I think that they don't know what to do other than to try and come back to Britain and rebuild themselves as some sort of members of the royal family.
It's a terrible failure of judgment, a shocking betrayal, fundamental flaws.
And completely unforeseen, but the right thing to do. I mean, the point was that we'd always criticized Charles for being hesitant and backing away from controversy.
Well, absolutely. This is a real crisis for the monarchy. And I think there's more to come out.
See them filming and including in the Netflix series a private text message. Okay, they don't reveal the contents, but clearly a negative text message that William...
Absolutely. What we're really now seeing is that both of them, having posed as the victim for so long, are really the aggressors. And what I really thought at the end of it as well was this, which I think is a very, very pertinent point.
Complete catastrophe.
I get a little heat. I get pushback when I say, what did the Queen think she was paying $12 million for? I mean, does the previous monarch...
Which is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry. I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary.
In the godforsaken Sandringham estate. Believe me, it's really depressing there, and it doesn't stop raining at the moment. And what it showed was that she wasn't going to make any concessions to the class and the sort of people which she was going to marry into.
It's amazing how she can be so judgmental towards them. And I mean this with the royal family too, but take everything she needs to help elevate herself. You know, like if you can't stand these people or the idea of class, Harry and Meghan chase the shiny people, chase money, chase opportunities without doing their due diligence, and could end up in a similar scenario where their private emails and text messages might be read in discovery through a civil trial, or might end up out in the world.
Let me move on to Meghan and Harry. I think that they are at the moment facing a real crisis. Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners.
Tom Bower just dropped a bombshell that has people heated, and it centers on Meghan Markle, a fading monarch, and what critics are calling a cold Netflix play. This isn't just gossip floating around online. It comes straight from Tom Bower, the investigative author behind Revenge, and he claims what Meghan and Harry wanted during the Jubilee will leave a bad taste in your mouth. For many watching from the outside, it confirms what they've been saying for years. This was never about duty, it was about deals and dollars. Bower, known for digging deep into royal drama, says the real focus wasn't family healing or honoring tradition. It was the balcony at Buckingham Palace. That iconic balcony isn't just a random platform for photos, it's symbolic. When senior members of the royal family step out there with the monarch, it sends a clear message to the world. You belong to the core of the institution. It's about status, recognition, and royal legitimacy in front of thousands gathered along the mall, waving flags and cheering for the crown. According to Bower, when Harry and Meghan returned to Britain for the Platinum Jubilee, there was allegedly one key objective: secure that balcony appearance and capture it on camera. Not just for memories, not just for history, but for Netflix. He claims there was a filming wish list, almost like a production checklist, and that balcony moment was sitting right at the top.
Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners. And so they're more desperate than ever. And I think that they don't know what to do other than to try and come back to Britain and rebuild themselves as some sort of members of the royal family. I think that's what the Invictus Games, which is this very splendid competition for wounded servicemen, is going to start in Birmingham next year, but there's a rehearsal later in the summer. And Harry is determined to come, and if he could, he'd bring Meghan and somehow work his way back in so that they have status. My feeling is that the king might be slightly sympathetic, but it'll be stopped by William and Camilla. The one thing they don't is Harry and Meghan parading together in Britain. And I think that they don't know at the moment how to play. I mean, an institutional risk to the British monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely. Because there's no doubt as they become more desperate financially and reputationally and seeking a purpose, they will do some very foolish things. And whatever Andrew has done, they will double the problem because they will not be controllable from London. So I do think that after Andrew, Charles and William do have this problem with the Montecito royals. Yeah. Well, I think that she's still a pretty narcissist. I think she has been remarkably successful with limited talent. I think now the real story is what I'd call the end game. How does this all, in the end, spill out? I mean, how on earth does she get out of the cul-de-sac, the one-way street in which she finds herself in? Because although she may not be headlines today because of all the other Epstein rumors, the wheel will come round and she'll be back in the spotlight. And she seeks the spotlight, as she did the other day. I mean, she can't exist without featuring somewhere. And it's all gone wrong for her. And Meghan doesn't like things going wrong for her. And Harry has very little to add to the party. In fact, all he's got is this Invictus Games for the wounded servicemen, but that isn't enough to satisfy him. So I think there's a huge crisis coming, which will redouble all the problems for King Charles and William. I'm sure it causes friction, but then all marriages have friction. I don't believe, like many do, that there's divorce on the horizon at all. I do think that he has no idea how to escape from their problem other than returning to Britain and assuming royal duties so that he has status and a purpose. I think she likes that idea because it gives her status and exposure, and she can sell more clothes or handbags or whatever on the back of appearing in Britain with the king or whoever she can stand next to. So, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I don't think there's a chance that Harry will be able to pull this off. But I think he's going to try very hard because they've got no alternative.
Critics argue that instead of seeing it as a sacred royal tradition, it was viewed as premium content, a must-have scene to strengthen their brand and streaming value. Think about that for a second. The same balcony tied to decades of royal history, trooping the color appearances and milestone celebrations suddenly becoming part of a media strategy. Supporters of the Sussexes say that's speculation and that no confirmed footage plan has been publicly verified. But Bauer insists there was a clear push behind palace doors to secure visuals that would reinforce relevance and connection to the monarchy. The debate now is intense. Was it about reclaiming a place in the family? Or was it about securing a powerful image that boosts global projects? That balcony isn't just stone and railing. It represents proximity to the crown itself. And if Bauer's claims are even partly accurate, the whole situation feels less like reconciliation and more like production planning. But just when you think the balcony drama was the peak, Tom Bauer shares another claim that has people stunned. He says during the Jubilee visit at Windsor, Harry and Meghan brought their children to see the late Queen while she was in very fragile health. On the surface, it sounds like a simple family moment. Great-grandchildren meeting their great-grandmother. A private goodbye, a tender visit. But according to Bauer, there was more tension behind the scenes than anyone realized. Bauer alleges the couple hoped to document parts of their time in the UK for their Netflix project. Supporters argue that no verified footage of that private meeting has ever surfaced, and that family visits should not automatically be framed as business moves. Still, critics believe the Netflix deal cast a long shadow over every royal interaction during that period. The question hanging in the air was simple. Was this a heartfelt reunion, or was it also potential content?
the secret security video that likely exists, that we believe he prepared for years for blackmail. Are you under the impression, or have you heard, that the king is finding out about these details, these emails, these photos in real time? He's not being warned about them. They're splashed all over social media or all over a newspaper, and he's finding out about them too? Or do you think that they are being warned before some of this content is released?
Meghan is deeply unpopular here. And as the Queen's last words were, you can't be half in and half out. And that's what they'd want. On the other hand, William, under no circumstances, in my opinion, would allow Harry to come back, and Meghan would be certainly stopped midway across the Atlantic. Their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her products, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all. And they are literally wallowing in in a maze where to go. And so predictably. And so that is the problem. And for them to come back in the midst of the current royal crisis here would be impossible to imagine. I mean, an institutional risk to the British monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely. Because there's no doubt, as they become more desperate financially and reputationally and seeking a purpose, they will do some very foolish things. And whatever Andrew has done, they will double the problem, because they will not be controllable from London. So I do think that after Andrew, Charles and William do have this problem with the Montecito royals. Yeah.
Here's the moment Bauer describes. He claims that as the meeting was about to happen, a senior palace aide stepped in firmly and made the boundary crystal clear. No cameras, no pictures. Just like that. 5 direct words. According to his account, filming inside that private space was not going to happen under any circumstances. Palace protocol came first, especially given the Queen's condition. Now, it's important to be fair. There is no public proof that cameras were actively rolling in that room, no official confirmation that footage was ever captured or even attempted. But Bauer maintains that palace officials were cautious and determined to protect the Queen's privacy in her final months. And that firmness, he suggests, showed they were fully aware of how sensitive the situation was. What makes this story so intense is the timing. The Jubilee was meant to celebrate decades of service, not spark behind-the-scenes disputes. Whether you see this as a misunderstanding, a protective palace move, or something more strategic, one thing is clear. Emotions were high, trust was thin, and every moment carried serious weight. But just when you think the balcony situation was the peak of the drama, Tom Bauer shares another claim that has people seriously shaken. He says that during the Jubilee visit at Windsor, Harry and Meghan brought their children to see the late Queen while her health was clearly declining. On the surface, it sounds like a simple family visit. Great-grandchildren spending time with their great-grandmother. A quiet, emotional moment. But according to Bauer, there was tension behind the scenes that most people never saw. Bauer alleges the couple hoped to document parts of their UK visit for their Netflix series. Now, to be clear, there is no public evidence confirming that cameras were actually used inside that private meeting. Supporters say it was simply a personal family moment. Critics, however, argue that the streaming deal changed how every royal interaction was viewed. Once business and family mix, people start asking questions. Here's the key moment Bauer describes. As the meeting was about to take place, a senior palace aide reportedly stepped forward and made it crystal clear. No cameras, no pictures. 5 firm words. That was it. According to his account, filming inside the Queen's private space was completely off limits, especially given her fragile condition at the time.
I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London, in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies. And I must say, it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut.
Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview. It's been really poisonous.
It's important to stay fair here. There is no verified footage, no confirmed recording from that room. But Bauer insists palace officials were determined to protect the Queen's dignity and privacy in her final months. And that strong response showed just how sensitive the situation had become. The Jubilee was meant to honor decades of service and legacy. Instead, behind closed doors, trust appeared strained, and boundaries had to be reinforced. Whether you see this as a misunderstanding or a serious clash of priorities, one thing is undeniable. Emotions were high, and every move was being watched closely. So now critics are saying the children were being used as props, as content, as part of a bigger media strategy. That's the accusation flying around, and it's harsh. There is no verified proof that any private family moment was filmed or sold. But the perception alone has people heated, and perception in royal circles can be everything. Now here's where the Prince Andrew crisis makes this even more intense for the monarchy. Tom Bauer doesn't just focus on Harry and Meghan. He argues that the Andrew controversy has shaken the institution at its core. The allegations and legal fallout surrounding Andrew already placed enormous pressure on the crown, and when one scandal is burning, the palace cannot afford another headline-grabbing mess. Bauer claims the situation could get even worse. He suggests there may be undisclosed material or evidence tied to Andrew that, if ever released, would trigger another wave of damage. It's important to be clear. There is no publicly confirmed release of such recordings, but Bauer says senior royals were warned that more revelations could surface. That possibility alone created panic behind closed doors. According to Bauer, King Charles was alerted that additional damaging information might be coming from the United States. Around that same time, Prince William reportedly grew frustrated after Andrew appeared publicly at a funeral in London, acting as if nothing was wrong. Bauer claims William confronted his father directly, making it clear the situation could not continue. Soon after, Andrew's royal duties were removed and his public role dramatically reduced. But here's where the tension grows. While the monarchy was dealing with internal crisis management, critics argue Harry and Meghan were still negotiating media deals from California. Bauer frames this as a dangerous overlap, a weakened institution facing pressure on multiple fronts at once. Supporters of the Sussexes reject the idea that they were exploiting chaos. Still, Bauer insists the timing created strain for King Charles during an already fragile period. Then comes the financial speculation. Bauer claims Harry and Meghan's media momentum has slowed. He argues there are fewer confirmed major projects ahead and questions about long-term revenue streams. However, exact details about their finances remain private. Public records show the Archewell Foundation continues to operate, though like many charities, it experiences funding cycles. What's clear is this: the monarchy has been navigating turbulence from several directions at once. Internal controversy, media scrutiny, and global attention have collided in a way that keeps tensions high.
You talk about Harry and Meghan's desperation to provide NETLIX with a royal balcony shot. Can you walk me through that? Because it's just so dirty. It's so filthy when you think about their objectives in going back and having that moment with the British royal family, where I think that they might have been booed during that trip. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they literally just go back so they can film things with NETLIX, and they've got a checklist of what they want. And they're just using this family to build their own profile. And it makes me sick.
Well, I think in my book, I explain how it's more than proximity, it's membership.
Yeah.
When you stand on the balcony, you're part of the royal family. You're part of the target of tens of thousands of people in the Mall down to Buckingham Palace cheering and attesting to their support for the monarchy. So to be on the balcony with the King and Queen and William and Kate would have been absolutely invaluable to Meghan and Harry. Of course, that was denied to them, and now they needed even more.
And when pressure builds at the top, every move becomes magnified. Tom Bower uses a phrase that really sums up how he sees their situation. He says they're running on empty tanks. That hits hard. He's painting a picture of high expenses, the Montecito mortgage, security bills, staff salaries, and a luxury lifestyle that doesn't come cheap. According to him, the income flow that once looked unstoppable has slowed down. Critics point to stalled media momentum, while supporters argue they're simply restructuring and choosing projects carefully. Bower claims several ventures didn't meet expectations. He references the end of Meghan's podcast deal and says Harry's memoir brought in a major payout, but as a one-time advance, not a forever stream. It's important to note that exact financial details remain private. Still, Bower insists their most powerful remaining asset is their royal connection. The Sussex title, the brand, the link to the monarchy. That, he argues, is why public royal appearances matter so much. Photos with senior royals, appearances at major events, balcony moments. According to Bower's view, that visible connection keeps the brand valuable. Without it, critics say they risk blending into the crowded world of celebrity culture. Supporters strongly reject that claim and argue they've built independent platforms in philanthropy and media. But Bower's stance is blunt. Proximity to the crown equals influence. He describes what he believes is their long-term goal, a half-in, half-out arrangement. Keep the prestige, skip the full-time duty. The late Queen made her position clear years ago. Public service within the monarchy requires full commitment. Bower argues that boundary hasn't changed. Then he pivots to Sarah Ferguson, and he does not soften his tone. He criticizes her past financial controversies and business dealings, claiming she pursued money aggressively during difficult periods. To be clear, Ferguson has publicly addressed past mistakes and rebuilt parts of her public life over time. But Bower draws parallels, suggesting patterns of commercializing royal connections have appeared before within the extended family. When discussing past associations involving controversial figures tied to Andrew, it's crucial to state that legal matters were settled, and Andrew has consistently denied wrongdoing. The monarchy already endured major reputational strain from that saga. Bower argues that damage, while serious, has largely been contained through removal of titles and public duties.
But she has been a huge curse on the British royal family and on Britain now even more. And one doesn't know how her daughters are going to cope with it. I mean, she was pretty ruthless in her use of her daughters. And there was a very important moment where they brought their children to meet the Queen in Windsor. And as they walk into the room to meet the Queen, a lady in waiting steps forward and says, "No cameras, no pictures." And that's the one reason they came to England, because they wanted those pictures for their own film. And of course, the one thing they weren't allowed to do was use the Jubilee in the Netflix series as far as they wanted. So it was touch and go, but they were pretty strong here that if they broke the rules, that was it.
Here's where his argument escalates. He claims Harry and Meghan present a different kind of challenge because they operate independently from California. They are not under palace structure, not guided by royal communications teams, not bound by internal controls. That independence, in Bower's opinion, creates unpredictability. He goes as far as saying they could pose a larger long-term reputational issue than Andrew because their media presence is ongoing. They speak, produce content, and control their own narrative. That's a bold claim, and one many royal watchers debate fiercely. Looking ahead, Bauer points to the Invictus Games scheduled for Birmingham. Harry founded the event, and his involvement is central. Bauer suggests any UK return tied to that event could reopen conversations about royal visibility and status. Whether that leads to reconciliation, tension, or simple coexistence remains uncertain. One thing is clear: questions about brand, status, duty, and independence are not fading away. The monarchy is navigating modern media pressure like never before, and every move, from California to London, carries weight. They want that photo with the king and with Prince William. They want that image broadcast everywhere, proof they're still royal, still connected, still relevant. That's the argument critics are making. Tom Bauer claims Meghan remains deeply unpopular in parts of Britain, and he says public resistance would be strong if a full royal return was attempted. Supporters disagree, of course, but Bauer paints the situation as tense and volatile. In his words, desperation can push bold moves. But here's where the power dynamic shifts. Bauer insists Prince William holds enormous influence over the monarchy's future direction. He claims William is firm, no return to official royal duties under any circumstances. That's his position, according to Bauer. King Charles, as a father, may have personal sympathy, but Bauer argues that both William and Queen Camilla prioritize long-term stability above emotion.
And I think that the balcony shot was the one thing they wanted. They wanted to appear, and of course they have appeared when they were married, but they wanted to appear with their children on the balcony. I think that's now again what they're trying to negotiate to do, because the balcony after all is pretty thin. But I don't think they'll get away with it. I don't think that the British will stand for it. And the king is battered by the Andrew saga. The one thing he doesn't want now is even more controversy with Harry and Meghan, which of course is just what they do want, because they're going to find more interest in themselves to get another series, to get some sort of exposure, to get money. I mean, that's what they're all about now. I do think the problem with Meghan is that she never actually says anything in interviews. It is so carefully controlled, so carefully chosen what she's going to say, that she says really pretty well nothing. Now, is it because she's got nothing to say, or is it because she is fearful that if she did move off the benign script, she would actually get into real trouble? I think it's the latter. She's clever enough to know that to retain her mystery and status, she should reveal nothing about herself, just other than appearing with her children or talking inanely about motherhood. And
we couldn't believe that Andrew was stripped of his titles, and today he's being swept in the dark of night out of Royal Lodge, and so much more. There's been so many more consequences to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Are you in shock? Because the last time I saw you, you said this is worse than the abdication.
Well, absolutely. This is a real crisis for the monarchy. And I think there's more to come out. What we haven't yet seen in the tranche of files, which I think is still to come, will be video of Andrew. I mean, Epstein was well known for secretly filming people, and I think many of the photographs which we have seen, especially of Andrew over that girl on the floor, were all part of keeping together some sort of blackmail ammunition. So the film, which is bound to the video, which certainly must exist, will be absolutely devastating, which is why I think the royal family, the king and also the Prince of Wales, William, have been talking about helping the police because they anticipate now even worse revelations.
Bauer points out that William reportedly pushed for decisive action during the Prince Andrew fallout. That moment, he says, showed William is willing to protect the institution, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, as a father to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, William is said to be thinking generationally. The future of the crown matters more than short-term reconciliation. The balcony, in this context, becomes symbolic again. It's not just about a photo. It represents continuity, legitimacy, and the visible future of the monarchy. According to Bauer's interpretation, access to that space is carefully guarded. He also claims King Charles works behind the scenes to limit reputational damage wherever possible, especially on the international stage. Bower's upcoming book promises even more behind-the-scenes insight from Montecito in London. He says years of interviews and research shaped his conclusions. However, it's important to stress that many of his claims remain disputed by supporters of the Sussexes, and some details rely on insider accounts rather than public documentation. Still, Bower's message is blunt. He believes the monarchy will draw firm boundaries. He predicts no balcony return, no restored hybrid role, and no official comeback. Whether that prediction proves accurate remains to be seen. If you want more breakdowns as new royal developments unfold, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Prince William is right to block a return, or should there be room for reconciliation? Let's talk about it.